we're gonna just start. We're gonna just do the thing now. So go ahead, head on over to your mat. I know I've started a few minutes late, so I am going to do the full 45 minutes. I know that's going to take us a few minutes over. So if you do have to bail at the last for the last few moments, just go ahead and do that. I won't take offense, and I will hopefully push all of the correct buttons at the end of the video so that we post after all of this is done. So we're going to start in child's pose. Knees to the mat, big toes touch behind you, hips towards the heels, and the forehead drops towards the mat in front of you. And we're just going to take 5 breaths here. Breathing through the nose as much as possible. Letting your inhales expand through the edges of your body. Finding where those spots of resistance are and just breathing into them. The exhale is creating a little bit of power, using a contraction of your belly and a slight closing at the back of your throat to press the air out through the nose. And once those breaths are completed, find yourself in tabletop position. Bringing the body up, bringing the hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips, fingertips spreading wide, and the knuckles staying connected to the mat, pushing through them. Take a deep breath. Inhale to cow tilt. Drop the belly, lift the chest, gaze comes up. Exhale, cat's tilt, round the spine, engage the belly as you push away from the mat. Back to cow, inhale, belly drops, chest lifts. Pull the shoulders back and away from the ears. Exhale, push through the arms, spread the shoulder blades above you. 3 more. Inhale, lifting the chest, letting your sit bones roll up behind you. And exhaling, tuck the pelvis under. Just 2 more. And last one. And once your final exhale is complete, come back to neutral inhale. Gaze is between the hands, keeping a little engagement in your belly. Lower back is supported here. Tuck your toes under, finding your first downward facing dog. Lift the knees and the hips, reach the chest back towards your toes. Take a second here, knees can stay bent. They don't have to be straight. And then on your next inhale, come forwards into plank. Shift the shoulders over your wrist. Adjust your stance here if you need to. If you find that your hips are still really high, you might need to walk your hands and feet a little further apart. And then go back to down dog, leaving the hands and feet where you've just set them. Exhale, reaching back through the chest. Again, maybe bending the knees if that helps you to lengthen your lower back. And again, forwards. Inhale to plank. Making sure you're pushing through the arms. Your belly is strong so that your hips, your pelvis hasn't tipped up or collapsed to the mat. And then sending it back. Exhale, down dog. One more time. Inhale, forwards. Pressing through the knuckles, lifting through the belly, kicking through your heels. And send it back. Exhale. Then bend the knees a little if they're not already. Look forwards. Take small steps as you walk your feet to the top of the mat between the hands. Feet eventually under the hips. Separated a couple inches. Knees bent. Relax the upper body. Just 2 or 3 breaths here. Let your neck release. Let the shoulders release. And then keeping your knees bent, slowly roll up 1 vertebrae at a time, letting the head be the very last thing to lift. Once you're there, feet can heel toe towards one another. Big toes might touch. Arms reach down by your sides. Take a deep breath through the nose. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, arms come down by your sides. Continuing that movement with your breath. Same again. Inhale, reach. Fingers up, but the rib cage stays in. Exhale, arms down. Last one. Inhale. This time fold. Exhale. Hinge at the hips. Hands coming towards the mat. Knees might bend a little to help you down. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Most of you, your hands will probably come off of the mat. Just push into the shins if that's the case. And then fold, exhale. Same again, inhale, lift. Doesn't matter what angle your back is at, what you're looking for is to take this rounding out of the lower back. And then release, exhale. Last one, inhale, lift the chest, back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, step both feet to the back of the mat. Knees set down. So you're in a modified plank. Nothing else has changed. Your belly is still strong. Pelvis still is tucking under a little bit. Your first chaturanga. Doesn't matter how much the elbows bend. What matters is that you don't lose your lower back. Keep that support. On your next exhale, start to bend the elbows. Now as the elbows bend, the chest is moving forwards. Keep the belly lifting. Keep the thighs hovering. And then release all the way down onto your belly. So however low your elbows went there, just release all the way down. Tops of the feet are pushing into the mat. Cobra pose. Inhale, halfway lift the chest. Making sure that this posture is a pull with the muscles of your back, pulling you up rather than pushing too much with the hands. And then release, drop back down. You can slide your hands back another inch if that felt pretty good. And then same thing, push through the tops of the feet. Inhale, lift your chest. Thinking about the elbows pulling back towards your heels. And then relax. One more time. Inhale, lift the chest. See if you can float your hands this time while the tops of your feet stay grounded. And then relax. Tuck your toes under. On the knees or the toes, come into plank. Inhale, push up. Downward facing dog. Exhale. 3 breaths. Your hands are about shoulder width apart. However, they might need to go a little bit wider if you find difficulty straightening the arms or getting your chest to reach back. Take one more here. Then inhale, look forward, step or jump the feet between the hands. Lift the chest halfway flat back. Exhale, fold. Coming all the way up to standing with a flat back this time. Inhale, lift the chest. Continuing all the way up, lift the arms, lift your gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. Surya Namaskara A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet to the back of your mat. First option, knees down. If that first lowering was pretty challenging, set the knees back onto the mat. Otherwise, second option, you can keep the knees lifted. Chaturanga. Exhale, bend the elbows. Squeeze the elbows to the sides. Hover the chest, the belly, the thighs. Inhale, first option, cobra. Hips are down, chest is halfway up. Second option is upward facing dog. If you're choosing up dog at any point, tops of the feet push down, knees and thighs are floating with that engagement of your legs here. On your next exhale, whether you're an up dog or cobra, send it back to downward facing dog. Either pushing down through the knees or you can push through the tops of the feet, rolling over your toes. 2 or 3 breaths. Remembering that there's options in the class tonight, and those options are there for a reason. Just choose whichever ones work best for your body. On your next inhale, look forwards, step or jump the feet between the hands, lifting halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift the chest. Exhale, plant the palms, lunge your left foot to the back of the mat. So the left leg steps back. From here, left hand is going to stay grounded, and then the right arm reaches up to the ceiling. Take your time. Again, if you need to remind yourself of which is left and right, if you make a 90-degree angle with your thumb and forefingers, whichever hand makes an L, that's your left hand. So your right foot is forwards and the right arm is up. Take one more here. Back to downward facing dog. Exhale, right hand to the mat, right foot steps back. One more breath. Then 3-legged down dog. Keep pressing through the knuckles and reaching through the chest. Right leg lifts up. Take one big breath here, reaching through that right leg. Then coming into crescent lunge, inhale, the right foot steps between the hands. So your floating foot has come back forwards once again. Both arms this time are lifting up to the ceiling. Take your time, push through the front foot, lifting your chest, and then eventually both arms reach up overhead. Just 1 or 2 more breaths here, making sure that your front knee hasn't collapsed in, dropping into your hip. You want the knee out a little bit over your pinky toe, making sure your glute is active to support your hip and that your knee is tracking in a safer direction. Keep that support for your leg as you come into your fold. Exhale, hands down, left foot comes up to meet the right. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Other side. Exhale, plant the palms, right leg lunges back. So again, checking your lefts and rights. Make sure that your left foot is still forwards. When you're ready, twist, left arm reaches up to the ceiling. Or whatever is above you. You might be outside doing this, in which case you're reaching that left hand up to the sky. Take 1 or 2 more breaths. Reach a little stronger through the back leg. Let your top shoulder roll back, opening the chest. When you've had enough, downward facing dog, left hand sets down, left foot steps back. 1 or 2 breaths here, just making sure the arms are settled in, the upper body is balanced on both sides. Then 3-legged dog, left leg lifts up this time. Your standing leg might be bent a little bit, but that floating leg is strong, pulling the upper body back. 1 more. Coming forwards into your lunge, left foot between the hands. When you're grounded and settled in the legs, then the upper body starts to lift, arms eventually overhead. Again, front knee a little out over your pinky toe. You should be able to see your big toe out in front of you. And if your knee is dropped in, then it's probably blocking your big toe. So just send it out a little bit. On an exhale, fold. Hands to the mat. Right foot comes up to meet the left. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Preparing a vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet back. Remember, you have options here. First option, knees down. Second option, knees lifted. Chaturanga. Exhale, bend the elbows. Only go as far as you can with support. Inhale, first option, cobra. Second option, up dog. Wherever you are, push through the tops of the feet. Downward facing dog, either pushing down through the knees or pressing through the tops of the feet. Take just 1 more breath here. Then coming back through into crescent lunge. Inhale, your right foot steps between the hands. Right foot is forwards, both arms lifting up. From here, you're spinning right open into warrior 2. So your back heel spins down. And then keeping your front toes facing forwards, your hips are going to turn open. So you're facing the left side of the mat, arms reach forwards and back here. Take a second focusing on this right hip. Once again, your knee doesn't want to collapse in the way. Push into the outer edge of your front foot so the knee tracks out over your pinky toe. Perfect. Now push into the outer edge of your back foot so that that back hip and knee haven't collapsed forwards. You have engagement there. Take 1 more breath. Inhale, your front leg is straight. Toes and feet are still doing the same stuff. You're still pressing into the outer edges of your feet a bit. Triangle pose. Inhale, reach forwards through the right fingers. Right fingers reaching as far out over your right toes as possible. Once you can't get any further, right hand towards your right leg, left arm towards the ceiling. Couple breaths here. Looking for that opening in your right inner thigh. Again, this right hip, it hasn't shot back from underneath you. You're still pushing it forwards so that you're opening the front of this leg, or excuse me, the inside of this leg. 1 more. Then back up to warrior 2. Bend your front knee, pull up through the back arm. Inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, hands to the mat. Your right foot steps back. Take a breath. Other side. Crescent lunge, left foot between the hands. Once the legs are settled, push down through the legs, reach the arms overhead. Taking a second, you've still got grounding into the outer edge of your front foot. Your glute is switched on a little bit. Keep that power as you move into warrior 2. Back heel spins down, your hips turn open, and the arms reach forwards and back. So the engagement of your left glute here is doing a couple things. First thing, it's helping to pull this knee a little further out over your pinky toe, keeping the hip open, keeping the knee in a safe position. Second thing is kind of pushing your hip underneath you and towards the right side of the mat to open that inside of your left hip. Take just one more breath. Then inhale, straighten your front leg. Still pushing out through that front heel, still keeping the hip driving underneath you and open. Triangle pose. Inhale, reach forwards through the left fingers. Keep going. You're looking for as much length as you can create here from your left shoulder to your left hip. So that hip is going back as the shoulder moves forwards. Once you can't get any more length, bring the left hand down and the right arm up. Maybe one or two more here. Hips continuing to go back as the chest reaches forwards. When you've had enough, back up to warrior two. Bend your front knee, reach up through that back hand. Downward facing dog. Exhale, hands to the mat. Your left foot steps back. First option, stay right here or take child's pose if you need a little rest. Second option, a vinyasa. If you want the vinyasa, inhale to plank, modify where needed. Exhale to chaturanga, bending the elbows. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. So you're taking a wider step here. Right foot is the outside of your right hand. So all of that attention that you just gave to your glutes, sending that knee out over the pinky toe, do the same thing here. Send that knee out a little bit. Make sure your glutes are working. Kick stronger through the back heel, then come up into a lunge. Your feet are wide, so it's going to be a little bit different. Lift the chest, arms overhead. Take one deep breath here. Knee a little bit out to the side. Then exhale, hands back down to the mat. Now from here, you're coming into a squat. Some of you will need your block at this point. If you know that you struggle a little bit into a squat, just set that block just slightly behind your front heel in the middle of your mat. Left foot steps up to mirror your right. Now, start to send your hips down. As the hips go down, your knees are driving out over your pinky toes and your heels want to stay on the mat. Some of you are only going to get to here. If you don't have a block, don't go any lower than if the heels lift up off of the mat, you've gone a little too far. So keep those heels down. If you've got a block, you might be able to sit on your block. You do not need a block if you don't have one and if you can sit properly down here. But again, you might have stopped a little bit higher, just driving the knees out. Wherever you are, bring your palms to prayer if it's possible. Elbows inside of your knees, driving the knees out to the side. Now use the engagement of your back to lift your chest. Take one more. Into a fold. Exhale, hands down, push through the heels to lift your hips. Feet are still a bit wide. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Exhale, heel toe the feet towards one another. And then just fold again. One more. Inhale, flat back, down dog or a vinyasa. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump the feet back, knees up or down. If you're taking the vinyasa, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or up dog. And then back to downward facing dog. Exhale. Preparing the other side. Inhale, your left foot steps to the outside of your left hand. So again, this is a wider step here. You're grounded into this front heel, gripping with these toes. Your knee a little out to the side, so your glute is switched on. Kick through the back heel. When you're ready, lift the chest, and then start to bring the arms up overhead. Couple breaths. So not only is your left glute switched on to keep that knee in a safe position, but your right glute is switched on as well to try and open up the front of that back leg here. Take one more. Next exhale, release, hands down. Again, if you need it, grab your block. When you are ready, right foot steps up to the outside of your right hand, mirroring that left foot. Start to bend your knees. Knees go out to the sides. Stop wherever you need to in your lowering. And when you're ready, palms to prayer, elbows inside of your knees. Just two more breaths here. Grip the mat with your toes, press into the outer edges of your heels, and ground through the balls of your feet. One more, shoulder blades together, chest is lifted. And then release, fold, hands down, hips high. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, heel to the feet towards one another. And fold. Once more, inhale, flat back. Vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet back. First option, downward facing dog. Second option, if you're taking the Vinyasa, chaturanga, cobra or up dog, and downward facing dog. Child's pose. Knees to the mat, hips back towards the heels, release the upper body. And just take 1 or 2 more deep breaths here, letting the body settle in once again. And then bring yourself back up into downward facing dog when you are ready. Coming to the top of the mat. Inhale, look forwards, step or jump the feet between the hands, lift the chest halfway. Exhale, fold. Coming all the way up to standing with a flat back. Inhale, lift your chest, continuing all the way up, lift the arms and the gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. Now, if you have a strap, if you know that your hamstrings are pretty happy with you, you won't need your strap. You'll probably be absolutely fine. If you know that your balance is quite good, but your hamstrings are maybe not as cooperative, grab your strap and just drop it over your shoulder here, because that way it'll be with you when you need it, and you'll be able to just grab it off of your shoulder. If you have iffy balance, don't worry about the strap because you're not going to use it. You're going to be focusing on your balance here. So what you're going to do is separate your feet about hips width apart. You would like to be on a pretty solid surface here. So if you have a really thick, spongy mat, see if you can maybe step off of that mat onto a more solid flooring. If you don't have any more solid flooring around you, good luck. Set your hands onto your hips. Chest is lifted. Shift your weight into your right leg. So you're shifting over into your right foot. Once you have some weight in your right foot, start to bring your left knee up. Eventually, the toes come up off of the mat and the knee is pulling up into your chest. Trying to keep your posture here, not letting anything collapse in the upper body. Keep your chest lifting up. Now, from here, take your hands underneath your left thigh. You might have to come down a little bit to make that hold, but then just bring the upper body up again. Your leg might lift a little bit higher. First option, stay exactly where you are. You might be working a lot on your balance. If that's the case, stay. Second option, keep the upper body where it is. Start to kick forwards through your left heel. Now the left heel might only move a couple inches. It might continue to eventually a straight leg. You might not get all the way there. Be aware that as you kick, you don't want your hips to shoot forwards. You don't want your shoulders to collapse. Everything else stays the same. You're only changing the leg. First option, stay. Second option, you can use a strap, hooking it around your left foot to bring that left leg a little bit higher. Final option, your left peace sign fingers, grab your left big toe, lifting that leg a little bit further up. Wherever you are, chest is lifted, shoulders are back. Take one more breath. And then release. Release whatever binds you have. Set that left foot onto the mat. Easy. Other side. Hands to your hips. Strap, again, you can throw it back over your shoulder. Shift the weight into your left leg. Start to bring your right knee up towards you. Now you might just stay on your right toes. This might be enough. This might be where you stop working on your balance. If you're continuing, the knee comes up, the toes come up off of the mat. Belly is pulled in. The chest is lifting up. The shoulders are dropping down. From here, next option, hands underneath your right thigh. Again, reset your posture if you lost it to find the bind. Then, slowly, start to kick. Kicking forwards to your right heel. Working to create distance from the heel through this whole backside of the leg to your sit bone, which is underneath you right now. Again, first option, stay there wherever that leg is, straight or bent. Next option, use your strap. Final option, right hand to your right big toe. 2 more breaths. If you have a bind with only one arm at this point, make sure your right shoulder hasn't pulled way forwards. Bring that one back again. Last breath. And release the bind. Set that right foot onto the mat. You can drop your strap off to the side of the mat. Moving through Surya Namaskara A, getting through that, washing that out. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift the chest. Back through a vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet to the back of the mat. First option, knees up. First option, knees down. Second option, knees up. Chaturanga. Exhale, reach forwards a little bit as you lower. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Really strong upper back. Downward facing dog. Exhale. And then preparing to come all the way through into a seat. When you're ready, look forwards. Inhale, step or jump all the way up and through, having a seat on the mat. And bring your legs straight out in front of you here. Once your legs are forwards, we're setting up a fold. If you find that your lower back is already dropped back here when you have straight legs, grab your block again and sit on your block or on a pillow or something, or you can even just roll your mat up behind you so that you've got a little elevation underneath your hips. Engage your quads so the legs are straight. Flex your ankles. Inhale, lift up, reach forwards, and then fold. Exhale, making sure your fold happens in your hip crease and not in your upper back. Keep this open and hinge. Once you can't get any further, just relax your shoulders. Grab something on your legs, shins, ankles, or the feet. Couple long breaths. So you're trying here to lengthen the back side of the body, not just the hamstrings, but also your lower back a little bit as well. And whenever you're trying to lengthen a muscle on one side of the body, you want to engage whatever is opposite to it. So here we're lengthening the back, so we want to engage the front. Like I said a moment ago, engage your quads, helping to lengthen the hamstrings, and engaging your belly to pull yourself a little further in. Just take one more deep breath. And then release. Inhale up to the top. Bend your right knee up towards you and set that right foot onto the mat. So the sole of the foot is grounded here. You're coming into a twist. 2 options. First option, first, acquaint yourself with your left and rights. Make sure, again, your right leg is the one that's bent. First option, left arm wraps around the front of your right leg. Second option, your left tricep goes over the knee to the outside of your thigh. Then take the right hand onto the mat behind you, wherever you've gone with that front arm. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, twist. So wherever you are, your hips want to stay grounded into the mat. They're not changing. Your legs aren't changing. They're a strong base. You're changing everything above your hips. You're rotating the rest of your spine. Take just 2 more here. Inhales, lifting a little taller. Exhales, rotate the rib cage. Last one. And then release. Come back around to the center. Now take both hands underneath your right foot. Lift your right foot up towards the front of the room. Now, some of you, your leg is going to stay bent. Some of you, if you can do so easily, you can straighten your leg. If straightening the leg causes your upper back to collapse, then bend the knee a little bit so you can lift up taller. Now everybody, again, lefts and rights are important here. Your right leg is lifted. Take your left hand to the outside of your right foot. Kick through that right heel, whether the knee is bent or straight. Kick through it so that it stays strong. Inhale, lift up a little taller, and again, twist. Exhale, reach the right arm back behind you. Now take your gaze forwards just for a second. Make sure that your right leg hasn't suddenly crossed over the body, over the top of that bottom leg. You want both legs moving in their own lanes here, kicking forwards. Take just one more, lifting on the inhale and twist on the exhale. And then release. Come back to the center, release your right leg to the mat. Other side. Bring your left knee up towards you. Now your right leg is on the mat again, so you're still now kicking forwards through that heel so that this leg acts as a base for you, a strong grounding base. Twisting. Same option from the first side. First option, right arm around the front of your left leg. Second option, tricep over the knee to the outside of it. Left hand onto the mat behind you. Keep it pretty close. Inhale, lift. and then exhale, twist. So in yoga, all of your postures are built from the ground up. You look for grounding first. What's your lowest base layer? In this particular posture, your hips and then your legs. So your hips are grounded. Second thing you need is length. You need to create some space. Length here, focusing on the lift of your spine. Lengthening both up and down, grounding down through the hips and lifting through the chest. The depth is the last thing that you need, the last thing that you need to worry about. The depth in this posture is your twist. So again, grounding through the legs first, lengthening through the spine next, then twisting. One more. And then release back around to the center. Both hands underneath that foot. Lift the left foot up. Again, if you can do so, you can straighten the leg. Otherwise, just keep it bent. The straight leg is not the priority here. The twist will be. Now the left leg is lifted. So you're taking your right hand to the outside of that left foot. And whether the knee is bent or not, you are kicking forwards and almost thinking about the outside of your foot pushing out a little bit into your hand. Once you've got that strength in the lower body, lift up through the chest, inhale, and then twist, exhale. So as you're twisting, you're not only reaching back through the back arm, but you're also pressing a little bit through the front arm, which is why you need this floating leg to be really strong, so you can push into it without it collapsing and totally giving to that twist. Two more. Strong legs, tall spine, twisting through the center of the body. Last one. And then release back around to the center, release the left leg to the mat. Draw both knees up into your chest. Now, your first option is going to be to move with me and come straight down onto your back. Your second option, if you want a final vinyasa, go ahead and take it now. Rolling over your knees forwards, step or jump the feet back, move through chaturanga, upward dog, and then downward dog. If you're doing that, take your time. If you're skipping it, knees to your chest, roll down onto your back. And we're going to continue from here. Those of you who are taking the vinyasa, once you have completed it, just step or jump back through into a seat, and then knees to your chest and roll down onto your back. Everybody then can release their knees, set the feet down, preparing just for a bridge pose. One easy back bend here. Your feet are about hips width apart. Your heels are just out of reach of your fingertips, so you do want them pretty close to you. And your heels are also a little bit wider than your toes. You're a tiny bit pigeon-toed. From there, make sure your toes are gripping, the heels are grounded. Push down through the palms next to you. Inhale, start to lift your hips. As the hips are lifting, your pelvis tucks up a little bit, squeezing your butt. Lower back is supported. Shoulder blades then walk together underneath you. First option, stay here. Second option, interlace the fingers under you, reaching the knuckles to your heels. Now use the strength of your legs here, not necessarily to see if you can get your hips any higher, but more so to see if you can get your chest more open, pushing your chest further back towards your chin. 2 or 3 more. When you've had enough, you can release the mind if you took it. Everybody separates the shoulder blades so the upper back is in the mat first, and then roll down one vertebrae at a time. Middle back and lower back last. And then go ahead, draw your right knee up into your chest. Wrap the arms. You can either go underneath your right thigh or over the top of your right shin. Then release the left leg long. Let that go. Just pulling the right knee into your chest for another breath. Then draw the left knee back up towards you and release the right leg. So you've just switched sides. And then go ahead, draw your right knee back up towards you again. And then release both knees onto the mat, just like they were in bridge pose. Now from here, we're coming into reclining pigeon pose. Take your right ankle on top of your left thigh. So again, lefts and rights, make sure you've got them. Right ankle is on top of your left thigh. The ankle is flexed a little bit. Your right knee is reaching forwards away from your upper body. First option, stay right there. Second option, the legs come towards you. The upper body comes forwards, taking a hold under your left leg. So again, your right foot is on top of your left thigh, and if you're binding, it's under the left leg. If you've taken that bind, just let the upper body drop back again. You're letting the weight of your upper body pull the legs towards you. And you're hoping here to feel a little bit of sensation through your right hip or your right glute somewhere even. And just one more on this side. And then go ahead, release the bind, set both feet onto the mat, and you're just changing to the other side. Left ankle on top of your right thigh. The left ankle is flexed. The left knee is coming forwards a little bit. First option, stay. Second option, knees towards you, hands underneath your right leg, and then the upper body drops back. As you pull in here, notice your lower back. Notice if your lower back has come way up off of the mat. See if you can use your breath to pull your pelvis back down again, even as you're drawing the knees closer towards you. Just one more on this side. And then release the bind, set both feet to the mat. Now we are coming up just to that 5:45 time point, which is where I should have stopped class if I hadn't messed up the start of the video. So if you did need to clear up and go, this would be a good time to do so. We're just going to take twists now before moving into Shavasana. So if you need to go at this point, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'm going to go for another 10 minutes here. So for your twists, your hips are going to shift over to the right side of your mat, a little bit over to the right side. For a pretty easy twist, just keep your knees together. For a deeper twist, your right thigh is going to cross on top of your left thigh. Whatever leg variation you have, whether they're crossed or not, draw the knees into your chest and then drop the knees to the left side of your mat. And once the knees are at the left, your gaze drops out over your right shoulder. And a couple more breaths here. Letting the right side open up. Your inhale is getting a bit of length between the right hip and the right shoulder. And the exhale is allowing a bit more rotation. And then coming back to the center, just bring the knees back to the top. Unwind the legs if you took the bind. Hips to the middle of the mat, knees to the chest. And then for the other side. Feet down. Hips shift to the left. If you're crossing the legs, it's left leg on top of the right. Knees into your chest, and then knees to the right side of the mat. Your gaze then dropping out over your left shoulder. When you're ready, come on back to the center, unwinding the legs, drawing the knees into your chest. If it feels nice, rock a little side to side here for a moment. And then you're preparing yourself for your Shavasana. If you have props, go ahead and grab them, blankets, pillows, anything like that. If you have a favorite shape for the body, find that. Otherwise, the legs can release, letting them go long. Excuse me. The arms can release by your sides with the palms facing upwards. Closing the eyes. Shavasana. Release the fingers and the toes. Release the ankles and wrists. The knees and elbows. Let the hips sink down into the mat as the legs flop open away from one another. The shoulders melt down as your breath returns to normal. Your lips may slightly part as you release your jaw, letting the tongue come away from the roof of your mouth. Softening the space between the eyebrows. Softening the space behind the ears. Listening to any sounds that may be around you. Letting them wash over your body. Creating stillness. Watching as your thoughts come in and out through your mind. Letting them finish. Letting them pass. Without creating any attachments to them. Finding the space that exists inside your mind. and finding some peace. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circling the ankles and wrists. Rocking the head from side to side. Inhale to reach the arms overhead, reaching long through the fingers and through the toes. Exhale, draw the knees into the belly, wrap the arms around them, giving yourself one last big hug, rocking from side to side. Eventually winding up on your right hand side, using your right bicep as a pillow. Remaining in Shavasana with your eyes closed. And when you're ready, press into your left palm, coming up to any comfortable seated position. Palms may press together at chest center if you choose. May you take only what is offered. Take only what you need, and always give more than you take. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay patient. Thank you. Namaste.